Thank you very much, sir. I am aware of the fact that I'm the last speaker of the last session, so I have to be briefer, not just brief. But since Namrata and DDG have reposed faith in me and want me to approach this topic, emerging Asian nuclear order, which is quite relevant because for last 2 days we have been talking about the Asian century, and for the Asian century, Asian nuclear order is quite important. So he has given me a set of questions, and I have tried to answer those questions in my presentation. Is it okay now? Okay. In my presentation, so I think I should start. First, I start with global scenario, nuclear scenario. Public declaration of nuclear arsenals of non-Asian nuclear weapon countries, which are four. Very obvious: US, Russia, UK and France. So they have declared their nuclear arsenals publicly. It is well known. These non-Asian countries possess more than 90% of existing nuclear weapons. It could be 94, 95. So basically we are fighting for Asian nuclear order is for very small stockpile of nuclear weapons. But these countries are modernizing even if they are reducing their nuclear arsenals. And the last point I would like to point out is there is no move towards global nuclear disarmament. Once lip service was paid, now I don't hear. Even those who campaigned have stopped campaigning and they are reinventing deterrence. So it's very pessimistic scenario. Somehow even those non-governmental think tanks are equating nuclear disarmament, nuclear reduction, and I can quote Gareth Evans and other also. Those who do not have last plan for nuclear disarmament. Arms control is being talked about, it is being practiced, and non-proliferation is the dominant norm, the dominant principle. So this is the scenario. This is not built by me. This is all think tanks have got the data, and you can have a look at it, but this is not the complete picture. Some of the weapons, warheads which are to be destroyed have not been computed, and some are in a different form. That is fissile material. They have not been weaponized. So this is not the complete picture. Even if officially these data are reeled out by nuclear weapon countries, or means four non-Asian nuclear weapon countries. So now we come to the nuclear Asia. What is the scenario here? All the last 5 nuclear weapon countries are from this continent. All are Asian. Before that, all were non-Asian. China was the first country to nuclearize Asia, and North Korea is the last one, and all are from Asia. Israel has got an ambiguous status, but it is acknowledged as a nuclear weapon country. That it has got nuclear weapons. They are all potential nuclear weapon countries are also in Asia. They start with Iran and many other countries which may go nuclear. So means the Asia is the center of the potential of future nuclear order, you can say. It has shifted. I'm not going to use the harsh words of Muthaiya Al-Gappa, but yeah, it is becoming the center of the world now, if we analyze in terms of nuclear weapons. But none of the 5 countries have declared their nuclear arsenal publicly. There is no official data, starting from China. So we don't know the exact stockpile. The estimates have been made, and what you saw in the previous slides were basically estimates made by think tanks, genuine, not genuine, false. You can keep having your own numbers. And once David Albright had come out with his inventory, and it was strongly countered by our strategy gurus, and including Mr. Subramaniam, that this is not the right number. So there is always a dispute about the number, which is being reeled out by think tanks and others who do the assessment. But that is going on. Ballistic missiles tests are being. These are some of the developments which are taking place. Nuclear weapon tests are taking place. Tests are announced. Ballistic missile tests are announced, and there are some. I am just quoting some relevant positions who matter for Asian nuclear order, like China, Taiwan, India, Israel, Iran, North Korea, and Pakistan, who are modernizing. But there are other countries also, like Afghanistan, Bahrain, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Saudi Arabia, who had got some Scud type of weapons, not very relevant, but still believed to be possessing all those some of the, you can say, archaic or not very usable ballistic missiles, but they are there. China and India are possessors of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Some may dispute whether 5,000 kilometer is ICBM or not, but all countries have got their own ways of designating an ICBM. So you can also designate your own ICBM. But it is well known that India, if wants, can announce that it is not just 5,000, it is 6,000 or 7,000, because the test is quite capable of reaching any target beyond 6,000-7,000. All countries possess, means all those nuclear weapon countries, I mean, short, medium, intermediate range ballistic missiles. If not all countries possess ICBMs. But there is again restricted information on ballistic missiles. Photographs are given, payload is given, range is given, everything is given, but the number is not given. Somehow the countries are quite, you can say, secretive or confidential about the number, because that may lead to the understanding of the size of the stockpile. Maybe this is the reason because of which the number of ballistic missile is not given. It is again guessed. Modernization is taking place, like China. I am just showing Chinese nuclear ballistic missiles. Some same name has, some old missiles have been improved, and these are names what other countries are also doing. In Pakistan also is being done, in India also it is being done. Some ranges have been shortened and like it is being improved. Like this is generally being made mobile, solid fueled and better navigated. I just move fast. There are other missiles and weapons like submarine launched ballistic missiles. People are talking about submarine race also, but those who talk about submarine race, again they add some caveat. And cruise missiles, anti-ship missiles, space, we just heard about that, and satellites, how anti-satellite weapons are being used. So this is why I should say the first assertion about the emerging Asian order. There is arms build up without race, and these are the reasons because of which I have made this assertion. There is no action reaction phenomenon as it existed during the Cold War, because all started their nuclear weapons development at different stages, different points of time, and they are not basically doing, okay, one you tested one, I will test another. Except India, Pakistan, we had some, but again we also stopped, because another reason is complex multilateral deterrence. What is this complex multilateral deterrence? Suppose North Korea has to deter the extended deterrence of United States. Is it going to match with United States in terms of numbers? So this is a very complex situation which is existing in Asia. Third is doctrine of credible minimum deterrence, which somehow is limiting. It's a philosophy, it's kind of philosophy that do not have too much, that you cannot handle it. And there is Cold War experience that there is cost of excess nuclear weapons, so don't go for that. And the non-declaration of nuclear arsenal is also helping is checking in arms race, because there is no domestic pressure to match with your rivals' stockpile. So this has also become one of the reasons that there is no race. I argue there is no Asian nuclear weapons arms race, but there is a possibility of Asian nuclear chain reaction in East and West Asia. The moment Japan goes nuclear, there are chances, because of historical reasons, so countries from Southeast Asia may consider going for nuclear weapons options. Similarly, in West Asia, the moment Iran goes, then Arab countries may have rethinking or they may revisit the nuclear weapons option. Similarly, Israel can also have rethink about its ambiguous position. It may also come out and it may increase the size of its arsenal. And then another feature of Asian nuclear order is proliferation network. All kinds of materials are circulating, and it is well known involvement of actors from Asian and non-Asian countries both. And there is myth of dismantlement. And the same countries and same officials who talk about dismantlement of AQ Khar Pakistan network, later in testimonies, in congressional testimonies, say that yeah, this network is still existing. So there are other Asian nuclear dangers related to that, that some actors, some organizations, we have nothing to do directly with states' acquisition of nuclear weapons, are involved in that, and this is dangerous. And nuclear terrorism, we talked about, Animesh all talked about how the weapons of mass destruction is a danger. Even if there is no credible evidence that terrorists have really acquired nuclear weapons, but Asia has got a number of terrorist organizations, and they have demonstrated, they have shown willingness to acquire weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear weapons or radiological materials, whatever you call it. And the famous Bob Graham's statement, where one to map terrorism and weapons of mass destruction today, all roads would intersect in Pakistan, and it is in Asia. So this is well known. Then this is my second assertion and second point or second feature about the Asian nuclear order, emerging Asian nuclear order. It is Chinese centric, even if it may appear multipolar or multilateral in nature, but basically this is Chinese centric in nature. This is because China is source of threat and concern for countries of all these three regions which I have listed, and it is source of proliferation also. But there is no pan-Asian security architecture. There are multiple regional institutions and initiatives existing in Asia, but they are just playing marginal role. There are some bilateral agreements which are, or say something, some initiatives like Six Power Initiative, you can say, which are doing some crisis and risk mitigating roles, but they are not very dominant players. There is greater, of course, there is greater understanding on fighting nuclear terrorism, but there is basically all the extra regional actors which are doing the job, and this is the predominant role of international and multilateral institutions and bodies are relevant here. Similarly, there is no pan-Asian constitution for the Asian nuclear order. Constitution is required for maintaining an order. It should have rules, regulations. There is centrality of the hierarchical NPT. There are nuclear weapons free zones. Two are existing, but there is no Asian nuclear weapons free zone. No Asian nuclear disarmament or nuclear weapons convention. Non-proliferation as a norm is existing. But one thing which is really maintaining the order stable is all want to, even non-NPT countries want to integrate with global nuclear regimes, and United Nations Security Council resolution is one. Second, multilateral export control regimes which all want to join and provide stability to the order. So we just conclude that Asian nuclear order is at least stable in nature. There is strategic stability as it existed during the Cold War and in the international nuclear order. It withstood war of two nuclear weapon countries, India and Pakistan. New nuclear weapon countries are coming, but still it is stable, and it is becoming a part of global nuclear order. So, but there are and these are the sources of stability of the Asian nuclear order. 5 I have listed. Because of lack of time, I am just moving fast. But there are sources of disturbances also. One is waging of proxy wars and a possible follow-up action from the victim country, and it is relevant in the context of India and Pakistan. Logic of asymmetrical deterrence, which I would take 30 seconds to explain. Sometimes some countries which are conventionally inferior try to justify their nuclear weapon use, saying that we are conventionally not superior and we want to use nuclear weapons to deter someone's conventional superiority, and it can disturb the order. And there is aggressive tendency of overwhelming power like China, use of existing hierarchical legal order to perpetuate and exploit unequal security situation. Extended deterrence of two types, one which is existing and which has been provided by United States, and second provided by proliferation network, which is more unstable in nature. What should be India's approach? This is, I just come fast. India is an important stakeholder. It values responsible nuclear behavior. It rejects South Asia nuclear framework and engages to the Asian nuclear order. It also has a different viewpoint on NPT, but it wants a permanent solution for global nuclear in the form of global nuclear disarmament. What are options for India in the future for emerging nuclear order? I have listed four, and I will be just briefly touching these four. First is Asian nuclear disarmament an option for India? There are limits to India's capability to even enforce global nuclear disarmament. So I don't think India can really help in achieving Asian nuclear disarmament option for simple reason, because China will not agree to it, because it doesn't see Asia or Asian nuclear disarmament or its weapons meant for Asia. So it has got global load. Chinese nuclear weapon has got global load. So it will not accept anything related to Asian nuclear disarmament. And so India cannot persuade or have any agreement with China to have any Asian nuclear disarmament. Second is multiple nuclear deterrence, I will say. What I mean by that? I mean by that, can we have an alliance? Is it possible to have an alliance? Can we have an alliance with the United States? United States, we cannot have an alliance with the United States, because United States is gradually becoming an unwilling power to get involved in any regional theater because of its declining capabilities and its experience. At best, it can provide you TI kind of assistance. Conventional arms, it can give it to you, but it will never help you or never help India in WMD because of its export control policies and its commitment to non-proliferation policy. So that is ruled out. Then can it have an alliance with Asian countries, with South Korea and Japan? Some indications are coming, but again, there is no chance of that also, because there is still a strategic gap existing between India's perception of Japan strategic involvement or engagement with India's problems, and the same thing exists with South Korea. So I don't think there is going to be an alliance system, but India can have friendship kind of arrangement with them. Then the most important issue which I would like to touch here is how to check a country like Pakistan, which is really challenging through proxy war the existing nuclear order. Should we revise our doctrine of no first use? There is debate, political class is discussing, but I just now I am not in favor of using no first use, but we have to send a message by somehow revising our doctrine and saying that just don't take our restraint for granted. So somehow India has to send a signal, and that signal is not going, and its signal should go through revising the nuclear doctrine which is existing now. The last point is, like, again, management of Asian order through Asian institution, which I can talk in Q&A because there is no time, and role of extra Asian power, which we will not shun. We would like to play non-Asian countries like United States or other countries which can play some role, even if not becoming an ally, but they can play some role there. So in sum, last slide, in sum, I would like to say that Asian nuclear order is deterrence based, and it is part of global order, and these are the features which are emerging, and I am not going to read out, these are there, but India's preference is a combination of global and Asian mechanisms. This is what I would like to say. Thank you.